It's one of Canada's richest provinces, known for its forestry, fishing, and ethnic diversity. But now BC is making its mark on the global map for another reason: crime. According to a report in this month's issue of Maclean's magazine, the level of organized crime, particularly in Vancouver, has become a multi-billion-dollar industry and has turned BC into a global crime superpower. With more, we're joined by Inspector Pat Fogarty from BC's Combined Special Forces Enforcement Unit. Thanks for coming in this morning.
My pleasure.
You've been investigating organized crime for 16 years. What's the biggest change that concerns you the most?
Well, really, it's expanded. Back 16 years ago, when I was doing your typical street level gang activity, you could kind of see the top of the mountains in terms of how it was operating, and it was tended to be more locally based. But as I move forward in time, most of our investigations start locally, but they go international right away. So there are not only that one particular group, but many groups doing the same thing. So it kind of has broadened its horizons in terms of moving in a more international way than anything else.
And does that make it harder to battle this kind of international crime?
Well, certainly, because you're dealing with different jurisdictions. Canada, the United States, overseas, Hong Kong, the PRC, Australia, New Zealand, various countries. So they have various differences in their laws. And so we have to find that common ground that we can use collectively. Because again, we're not dealing with one particular target or suspect here in Canada. There's a whole network working worldwide.
Why has Vancouver become this international crime hub?
I think there's a number of reasons. It's kind of, in one sense, fertile ground in that, number one, we have one of the largest ports in the world here that bring in commodities from all over the world. As I say sometimes in presentations, you can bring in white African elephants from anywhere in the world, put them in a container, bring them to Vancouver, and ship them out anywhere else, and nobody'd know, because it's impossible to search every container. But in support of the ports, you have this very efficient infrastructure of trucking, rail, etc. So it's not only that it arrives here, but you can quickly get it onto a wheel-based vehicle or onto a train to move it anywhere else. So that one of the factors is I think organized crime is the best example of multiculturalism at work. We have various groups now working together. We have Asian criminals that have contacts overseas, or East Indian criminals with contacts overseas, to be able to bring things like precursors in to make methamphetamines, ecstasy, bringing in heroin, and that infrastructure is in place to do that. We also we're on the border of the largest market in the world, and so there are contacts there. So it's the entirety of that infrastructure that exists that allow these people to be able to move commodities. So Vancouver essentially becomes a hub for all this, and moving product. All the product that comes here is not for Vancouver persons. They're for everyone else in the world.
Absolutely. Well, Inspector, thank you so much for sharing your insight with us today.